gonna be a fun one. What is the best Harley Davidson motorcycle? That's what we're talking about today. What is the best Harley Davidson motorcycle? Now, it's hard to, this is going to be a hard one because, like, they're obviously all meant to do different things. So saying one is better than another is actually a little bit subjective, of course. But we're going to attempt to try to factor in everything and choose one as the best. So I think the first thing is to really kind of scope the problem. So, there's a lot of years worth of Harleys that exist. Do I really have the time to go through every model and submodel? No. But let's pick a time frame. So what are most people buying, right? 20 to 25. Well, call it 20 to 30-year-old motorcycles. All right, that's what most people are buying, or newer. Oh shoot, that's sketch. Got a top in the road. Anyway, so anything from say 20 to 30, 35 years old. So, Evo motor and up. How about that? Right? That's kind of the range of what people are realistically buying these days. And bikes that are serviceable without restoration and all that kind of thing. So, we start with the Evo days. If you go back to then, you really had FXRs, Sportsters, of course, the touring bikes, which are relatively similar to this day, and that was about all you had. And then you had the Super Glide series, which eventually became the Dynas and all that jazz. But as you fast forward into the late 90s, early 2000s, Dynas, you get the V-Rod, you get the rubber mount Sportsters, and then later on, and then you get some more touring bike models, the Electric Glide Standard, which turned into the Street Glide, of course, the Road Glide. I'm not really sure when the Road Glide came out. And then you get more to the modern era, and you've got you had Softails back then as well, and you have the more modern Softails now, what I'll call the sportier Softails. And then you've also got the Street series, and then you got the bikes with the Rev Max motor, the Pan America, and the new Sportster S, and the new Roadster, and all that kind of stuff. So you got the water-cooled Harley variety, worth discussing. So of all those bikes, oh man, it's kind of tough. So okay, from a pure handling and mystique perspective, obviously FXR is going to be what most people say. From the perspective of like bro bikes at this point, Dynas, right? The whole Dyna Bro thing, that's definitely big now. So that would be the bro bikes. Honestly, value for what you get, Sportster, I think to this day, like the air-cooled Sportsters are still a really good value for what you get. We're talking bikes that are, for the longest time, were sub 10 grand, and now are not too much more than that. And you get big twin, power to weight ratio in a package that's half to 2/3 the price, let's say. Depending on the era and what bike you're comparing it to. So not bad. The touring bikes obviously are the king of the road for long distance, and the V-Rods are fun for straight line power. And the new Rev Max bikes handle pretty well, and Pan America go off road. A lot of different things. But the question becomes, what is the best? And as subjective as that is, can we objectify it? So, what are the categories that would make something the best, right? Usability in a dynamic range of scenarios, performance, power, handling, reliability, and then cost, right? So in the perfect world, you have a bike that costs the least, does the most, and does it the best, right? Obviously, you can't maximize all those things. So then the question becomes, which one's top dog? So I'm gonna right off the bat, I'm going to write off the Sportster and I'm going to write off the touring bikes. The reason for that is because the smallest and largest of the series have too many disadvantages one way or another, I feel like, to really call the best overall. So by that I mean, like, from a touring perspective, the Sportster is disadvantaged, and from a sport perspective, the touring bikes are disadvantaged. And I don't know that there's any way that, being that far outside the spectrum, they can really come to the middle and be the ultimate one bike. So that leaves us with Softails, Dynas, FXRs, and then some of the oddballs, the Pan America and stuff. So the Pan America, I haven't ridden one yet, unfortunately. I hear it's actually a really good motorcycle. But I'm going to be a little bit of a boomer here. In quintessential old school Harley Davidson fashion, I'm going to write off the RevMax motor, which is definitely going to make some people mad. And I actually like the RevMax motor. I actually think it's great that Harley's going in that direction for some of their bikes. I love how they've blended air-cooled and water-cooled on the touring bikes, and then they have the fully water-cooled line and they have the fully air-cooled line. I actually thoroughly appreciate that. I don't want to just discount it. Like, this is for the sake of my little theoretical world. I'm not discounting it from the perspective of, like, real life. I hear rumbly noises behind me. But, yeah, so we're going to write those off. So we're definitely left with Dynas, Softails, and FXRs. I think you can see where this is going. but okay, considering this, which one's the best? So, okay, Softails are pretty... Softails and Dynas. Let's talk about those first. So they're going to definitely be 6-speed transmissions available, and then have the most power out of the box anyway. That's the nice thing about a newer Dyna and a Softail, is you definitely have the most power. The factory 6-speed, a little comfier, a little bit bigger, a little comfier, a little heavier. Between a Dyna and a Softail, oh god, this would be controversial too. I don't know. The Dyna, I respect the hell out of the Dyna and what that's done for the Harley brand as I pass one. You can't discount you can't discount what a Dyna is. A Dyna is obviously the natural predecessor of the FXR. It carried Harley Davidson on its back for a solid 10-15 years. They're great motorcycles. They have their quirks, but they're great motorcycles. I don't know. I hate to talk bad about a Dyna, but the Softail's newer technology. It comes with a Milwaukee 8 now. It's got a little more power. They're so smooth. They handle so nice. Even the Street Bob Softail, it just handles better than any stock Dyna. I'm sorry. I know that's controversial to say. I truly believe it, though. I've ridden a lot of Dynas, and I love them for what they are, but they just never quite spoke to me the way these new Softails do when comparing the two. So I'm gonna go Softail. So now we're down to Softail and FXR, and oh man, so FXR, right? Okay, obviously all the hype of the FXR on the line, and rightfully so, right? It's an amazing motorcycle, especially for when it came out. But, and I'm gonna get flamed for this, you know, it's getting a little dated, man. It's the newest FXRs, you know, main production FXRs are early 90s. Then you had the specialty ones in like the early 2000s and stuff, but, you know, those are kind of hard to find and they hold a certain premium. This is interesting. Why are we at a dead stop? I didn't like any of what was going on there. That was weird. Anyway, so you're comparing, it's not really fair to the FXR in a sense. You're comparing essentially late 70s, early 80s technology, right, as far as the design of it, to a modern, whatever, something that was designed in 2018, 2019, and released in a couple years later, right? So, I mean, power, so stock for stock, right? The Softail has better suspension, way more power, 6-speed transmission. Honestly, the frame on the new Softails is probably just as stiff as the FXR frame, and they handle really well. The FXR has more lead angle with the right model, so there is that. That definitely means something. God, I don't know. It's tough. As somebody who's never ridden an FXR, I'm speaking a little out of turn here. But I think I'm going to be bold, even though I haven't ridden one, and give it to the new Softail. The other reason I'm going to give it to the new Softail is because it is the future of the company, right? These new Softail bikes, for better or worse, are what there are for the mid-size cruiser. And then you also have the you know, the fact that they're a little bigger than an FXR, so you can tour on them a little more comfortably. You can get cruise control on the ST, you know, whereas like an FXRT wouldn't have had that. So there are some distinct benefits to you know, to going FXR over I'm sorry, Softail over FXR in the modern era. You know, guys, and this is just a fun video, so don't overthink it. You know, there's a lot of reasons why you would choose one over the other. I mean, I'm riding none of the bikes I even put in my final elimination chamber here. So, but I don't know. I just think the modern Softail is a do-it-all bike. You can tour on it. You know, if you have to have the ultimate bike, right? By Harley, it's like you can tour on it, you can cruise on it on a curvy road. You got the 6-speed cruise control, but yet it's relatively light, at least compared to a bagger. Not too much bigger than a Sportster. So I mean, I don't know. It kind of splits the gap. I guess it's kind of an obvious choice because you know, it is that middle ground bike, kind of the jackknife of motorcycles in the Harley lineup, anyway. But I don't know. I think it deserves it. So tell me in the comments what you think. I think there's really solid arguments for the Road Glide. The Road Glide has become a staple. Street Glide, you know, become staples of the Harley community. I mean, I think they sell more touring bikes than anything else. So I think it's a very valid argument to say, hey, look at the numbers, right? And a Street Glide is probably, I think it's the most sold Harley. So like, that's fair. Then I think you could also make the argument for a Sportster being the longest running line that they've had, right? If it wasn't the best, why has it been around for so long in so many different iterations? And the Evo motor design has true racing heritage and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think there's an argument for that. I think there's an argument for the RevMax bikes just being the future of the company and water-cooled, bringing them into the 21st century. So this is just a fun video. I'm not steadfast in my belief on what I just said, but I don't know, just kind of giving you a perspective, not the only perspective. So have a good one, guys. Ride safe. God bless America. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.